Why are store shelves empty? The global food crisis is gaining momentum, and this is no longer an exaggeration. Economic instability, climate disasters, logistical problems, and geopolitical conflicts are affecting the availability of food around the world. By March 2025, some products may disappear from store shelves or become significantly more expensive, making them almost unaffordable for ordinary consumers. Today, we'll take a look at 10 major products that are at risk of disappearing, explain why this is happening, and what you can do to be prepared. Product #1. Canned meat. Why might it disappear? Canned meat has always been an important part of long-term supplies. It is easy to store, can be used in a variety of dishes, and does not spoil for a long time. However, as early as 2025, this product may become scarce or significantly more expensive, making it less affordable for consumers. The global food crisis and changes in the meat industry are affecting the availability of canned meat, and many experts warn that stocks of this product could drop by more than 50% in the coming months. The main reasons for the shortage: reduced feed production. To raise an animal for the meat industry, a large amount of feed is needed, including grain crops. However, due to climate change and droughts in the US, Canada, and Europe, feed production has decreased by 35 to 50%. Due to the lack of grain, many farmers are forced to reduce the number of livestock as it becomes too expensive to keep. This leads to a decline in meat production, which automatically raises prices for all meat products, including canned food. Rising energy prices and logistical challenges. Canning meat requires high production, transportation, and storage costs. The rise in fuel and electricity prices has led to a 25 to 30% increase in the cost of canned food production. Logistical crises, a shortage of containers, and problems with sea transportation further complicate the situation. Many manufacturers are cutting production due to unprofitability, which directly affects the availability of the product in stores. Economic instability and rising demand. Fear of food shortages has led consumers to buy canned food on a massive scale. During periods of economic crisis, demand for long shelf life products increases dramatically. In some regions, stocks of canned meat have already decreased by 40 to 50%, and in some supermarkets, the goods are sold out within a few days of being replenished. Producers simply do not have time to restock, which further increases prices. What to do? In order not to be left without supplies, you need to review your food purchases now and prepare for a possible shortage of canned meat. Stock up on several cans of canned meat right now. It is best to choose products with a long shelf life and the necessary quality certificates. Consider alternatives. Canned chicken and fish are still more affordable, but the situation may change. Plant-based protein sources such as legumes, soy products, and mushrooms can partially replace meat in your diet. Look for local products. Farms may offer canned meat produced in smaller quantities that have not yet been affected by global market changes. Control prices. Keep track of the price dynamics in different supermarkets and look for promotional offers to buy goods at a better price. Conclusion. In 2025, canned meat may become scarce or significantly more expensive due to reduced production, economic instability, and supply problems. If you are used to using this product in your diet, it is important to take care of your stocks and consider alternatives now. The situation on the food market continues to change, so it is necessary to prepare in advance for possible supply disruptions and sharp price increases. Product #2. Vegetable oil. Why are we facing a shortage? Vegetable oil is one of the most important products in every household. It is used for frying, baking, making sauces, canning, and many other culinary processes. But in 2025, the situation may change dramatically. Oil may disappear from store shelves or become much more expensive. This shortage is caused by several factors at once, from unfavorable weather conditions to global economic restrictions. While oil used to be considered a common and affordable product, in a few months its price may become unaffordable for many consumers. Why is the situation critical? The shortage of oil is caused by a combination of global issues that affect its production, transportation, and sale. Drought in Ukraine and Canada. Ukraine is the world leader in sunflower oil production. This country accounts for about 50% of global exports of this product. However, in 2024, Ukraine faced an abnormal drought that reduced sunflower yields by 30%. Canadian farmers specializing in growing rapeseed for canola oil have also suffered losses due to climate change. The consequences of this are already tangible. Export volumes have declined, which means less product on the world market and, as a result, higher prices. Export ban from Indonesia. In addition to sunflower and rapeseed oil, palm oil, which is widely used in the food industry, has a significant market share. Indonesia is the largest producer of palm oil in the world, but due to domestic economic problems and growing demand in the domestic market, the government has imposed restrictions on its exports. This caused a real domino effect. Food companies that use palm oil are forced to switch to sunflower or rapeseed oil, which increases demand for them. Reduced stocks lead to further price increases. Manufacturers of products that contain vegetable oil, mayonnaise, chips, confectionery, are starting to raise prices or change their recipes. What will happen next? Analysts' forecasts are disappointing. By March 2025, prices for sunflower and rapeseed oil may rise by another 25 to 30%. Some countries are already imposing restrictions on the sale of oil. Supermarkets in Europe have begun to set limits on the number of bottles per person. The food industry is changing recipes to use cheaper but lower quality substitutes. If the situation doesn't change, sunflower oil will become a premium product, and consumers will either have to reduce its use or look for alternatives. What should you do to avoid being left without oil? To avoid unpleasant surprises at the supermarket checkout, you should act now. Buy a few bottles for future reference. If you have the ability to store the oil in a cool place, you can buy it at the current price before it goes up even more. Consider alternatives. Olive oil is more expensive but more nutritious and healthy. Coconut oil, good for frying, does not oxidize at high temperatures. Ghee, clarified butter, is an excellent substitute for heat treatment of foods. Save oil. Use less when cooking, or look for ways to reduce its consumption, such as baking in the oven instead of frying. Look for local producers. In many regions, farmers produce their own sunflower or rapeseed oil, which can be a good option in terms of quality and price. Product hash 3. Sugar, a sweet crisis on the horizon. Sugar is not just a sweetener for coffee and tea. It is a key ingredient in baking, sauces, preserves, and many other foods. It is hard to imagine the food industry without it, as sugar is used not only in desserts, but also in meat products, bread, sauces, and beverages. However, as early as 2025, sugar may become scarce or significantly more expensive, which will change the food market and force manufacturers to revise their recipes. Why might sugar disappear? The sugar shortage is caused by a combination of global factors that have directly affected production and supply. Drought in Brazil, a major sugar producer. Brazil is the world's largest sugar exporter, supplying more than 40% of the global sugarcane market. The abnormal drought that hit the country in 2024 reduced yields by 30%, which has already affected global supplies. Producers do not have time to compensate for the losses, and farmers report poor quality of raw materials, which further complicates the situation. The war in Ukraine and the decline in beet sugar production, in addition to sugarcane, beet sugar, of which Ukraine is the main producer, accounts for a significant part of the global market. Due to the hostilities, many Ukrainian companies have reduced production, and some of the land where sugar beets were previously grown is now not used in 2024. Production fell by 25%, which automatically affected exports. Using sugarcane for biofuel production. Another unobvious but serious problem is the growing demand for biofuels produced from sugarcane. Due to the energy crisis, many countries have begun to use cane for ethanol production, which has reduced the production of edible sugar. In 2024, up to 20% of the total sugarcane harvest was used for ethanol production, which significantly reduced the amount of sugar available to consumers. This has created competition between the food industry and the energy sector, which has led to higher prices. How will this affect the market? Sugar prices have already increased by 60%, and this is not the limit. Some countries are restricting exports to protect their domestic market. The food industry is changing recipes. Manufacturers are starting to reduce the amount of sugar in products or replace it with cheaper sweeteners. If the situation does not change, sugar may become a luxury, and the usual sweet products will either become significantly more expensive or lose their quality. What can you do to avoid going without sugar? To avoid getting into a situation where sugar becomes too expensive or disappears from the shelves altogether, you should think about stockpiling and alternatives. Stock up on sugar in advance. This product has a long shelf life, so buying a few kilograms for the future is a smart decision. Look for alternatives. Honey is a natural sweetener that contains vitamins and minerals. Stevia is a natural calorie-free sweetener that is widely used in healthy eating. Agave syrup or maple syrup are good alternatives for baked goods and desserts. Use less sugar in your daily life. Try to reduce its consumption in coffee, tea, and home-cooked meals. Keep an eye on the market. The situation is changing, and stocking up on sugar now can help you avoid big expenses in the future. Conclusion: sugar is a product that seems familiar and affordable, but in 2025, the sugar market may experience one of the biggest crises in decades. The reasons for this are the drought in Brazil, reduced production in Ukraine, and the use of cane for biofuel. Already prices have risen, and the shortage is becoming more and more noticeable. To avoid unpleasant consequences, it is worth buying sugar stocks now or considering natural substitutes. The global economic situation remains unstable, and global food changes will continue to affect the market for years to come. Product #4. Canned vegetables are an indispensable product in every home. Canned vegetables are a convenient, durable, and affordable product that many people use to prepare soups, side dishes, and salads. They have a long shelf life, which makes them indispensable in times of crisis. However, in 2025, the canned vegetable market may experience a serious shortage. If the situation does not change, by spring, stocks of corn, peas, carrots, and other popular canned vegetables may be limited, and their prices may rise significantly. The main reasons for the possible shortage: crop failure in the U.S. and Canada. The United States and Canada are key producers of canned vegetables. However, due to abnormal weather conditions in 2024, farmers reported a significant decrease in yields. Drought in some regions destroyed more than 30% of the corn, peas, and tomato crop. Sudden frosts in Canada had a negative impact on carrot and potato production. Due to unfavorable weather conditions, yields decreased and production costs increased. As a result, fewer vegetables are being delivered to canneries, which reduces stocks of finished products. Shortage of tin and glass for packaging production. In addition to the shortage of vegetables, there is also a shortage of packaging. Due to disruptions in the supply of raw materials, the production of tin cans has dropped by 25%. High glass costs make it difficult to produce vegetables in glass jars. Factories are forced to reduce production due to a shortage of packaging materials. All this creates a double shortage. Even if there are vegetables, there is nothing to preserve them in. Increased cost of the production process. The production of canned food requires significant energy costs. The rise in electricity and gas prices in 2024 increased production costs. Transportation of products also became more expensive due to rising fuel prices. Some companies reduced production volumes due to unprofitability. As a result, canned vegetables are becoming more expensive, and their stocks are dwindling. What will happen next? Already, prices for canned vegetables have risen by 30 to 40% compared to the previous year. Some large retail chains have reported supply disruptions. By March 2025, the shortage of canned vegetables could reach 50%, forcing consumers to look for alternatives. What can you do to avoid being left without canned vegetables? Stock up on the necessary products in advance. Buying a few cans of corn, peas, tomatoes, or carrots at current prices will help you avoid overpaying in the future. Consider alternatives. Frozen vegetables contain more vitamins and can be stored longer. Dried vegetables, easy to use, suitable for soups and stews. Homemade preparations. Canning yourself can be a good alternative to store-bought products. Keep an eye out for promotions and sales. Many stores still have old stock that is sold at lower prices. Pay attention to local farm products. Some local producers offer alternative preservation methods that may be more affordable. Conclusion: canned vegetables are one of the most convenient products, especially in times of crisis. However, in 2025, their stocks may sharply decrease and prices may rise. To avoid problems, you should buy the necessary products in advance or find alternatives such as frozen or dried vegetables. The global food situation remains unstable, and global changes affect all areas of food production. By preparing for possible disruptions now, you can avoid unnecessary costs in the future. Product #5. Flour, a basic product under threat. Flour is the basis of many products, from bread and pasta to baked goods and sauces. It is simply impossible to imagine daily meals without it. However, in 2025, the flour market is under threat, and its price could rise rapidly. Due to global problems, Grain production is declining, and logistical difficulties are only making the situation worse. Some supermarkets have already begun to limit the sale of flour, indicating a future shortage. Why is the situation critical? Decline in global wheat production. Wheat is the main grain crop for flour production, and its yields have dropped significantly due to abnormal weather conditions. Drought and high temperatures in Canada and Europe reduced the harvest by 20 to 30%. Floods in Asia and instability in some regions of South America have made grain exports difficult. As a result, less wheat is reaching the market, which is pushing up commodity prices. High transportation and production costs. Even if wheat is available, its processing and transportation have become much more expensive due to rising fuel and electricity costs, which affected the operation of mills, logistical problems due to the lack of containers and increased demand for grain crops, export restrictions imposed by many countries to preserve their own stocks. As a result, the price of flour has already risen by 40%, and experts predict that it may increase even more in 2025. Restrictions on sales in supermarkets. In some countries, retail chains have already set limits on the purchase of flour by one person. This indicates a real risk of a shortage that could worsen in the coming months. What should you do to avoid problems? Stock up on flour right now. A few kilograms in the pantry can be a good hedge against rising prices. Consider alternatives. Oat, coconut, and almond flour are healthy options that can replace wheat flour. Corn or rice flour, used in gluten-free baking. Watch for promotions and discounts. You can still find flour at old prices. Look for local producers. Often farms offer quality flour at a bargain price. Conclusion. Flour is one of the most important products in the world, but its availability in 2025 may be at risk. The main reasons are drought, rising transportation costs, and declining wheat harvests. To avoid facing a sharp rise in prices or shortages, it is worth stockpiling now or finding alternative types of flour. The global situation remains unstable, and preparation is the best strategy. Product hash 6. Canned fish. Why might they disappear? Canned fish is a convenient and nutritious product that has a long shelf life and remains popular all over the world. They are an essential source of protein, omega-3 fatty acids, and vitamins, making them an important part of the diet. However, in 2025, popular types of canned fish such as tuna, salmon, sardines, and mackerel may become scarce or significantly more expensive. The main reasons for this are overfishing of the world's fish stocks, bans on commercial fishing in some regions, and global supply problems. Why might canned fish disappear from the shelves? Overfishing of global fish stocks. Overfishing over the past decades has led to a serious decline in tuna, salmon, mackerel, and sardines. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, more than 34% of the world's fish stocks are already depleted. In the North Atlantic, the wild salmon population has declined by 40% over the past 10 years. Due to the growing demand for fish in Asia and Europe, fishing companies are forced to catch more fish than can be naturally regenerated. As a result, some fish species have been subject to fishing restrictions, which has reduced the amount of raw materials for canned food production. Ban on commercial fishing in the North Atlantic. In 2024, the International Council for the Exploration of the Sea recommended restricting or completely banning fishing for some species in the North Atlantic due to catastrophic population declines. Some countries have already introduced quotas for tuna and mackerel. Large companies that used to supply canned salmon are cutting back on production due to fishing restrictions. Due to these restrictions, fishermen are forced to switch to less popular fish species, which is changing the canned food market. Increased cost of logistics and production. As with other canned foods, rising fuel prices, shortages of cans and supply disruptions are affecting the canned fish market. Rising transportation costs are making fish imports more expensive. A shortage of packaging materials limits production and increases the price of the final product. The closure of some fishing factories in Europe due to unprofitability is exacerbating the shortage. What will happen next? Prices for canned fish have already increased by 35 to 50% compared to last year. By the spring of 2025, there may be a shortage of popular fish species such as tuna and salmon. The food industry will start using cheaper fish species, which may affect product quality. What should you do to avoid being left without canned fish? Stock up on canned fish in advance. They have a long shelf life and can be useful in times of shortage. Pay attention to alternatives. Replace tuna and salmon with sardines or mackerel, which are still available. Consider canned seafood, shrimp, mussels, squid, as an alternative. Watch out for promotions and sales. Stores still have stock at old prices. Use local fish, buy fresh fish from farmers or fish markets, and then preserve it yourself. Conclusion. Canned fish may become a scarce commodity due to overfishing of global stocks, fishing bans, and rising production costs. To avoid unpleasant surprises in the future, you should stock up now or find alternative sources of fish. The food market is changing rapidly, and being prepared for these changes is the best solution. Food hash. 7. Pasta. Why might it disappear from the shelves? Pasta is one of the most popular products in the world. They have a long shelf life, affordable price, and high nutritional value. However, by 2025, the pasta market may face a shortage and rapid price increases. This is due to a decline in wheat production, higher production costs, and logistical problems. If the situation does not improve, pasta may become a product that is not affordable for everyone. Why is pasta under threat? Decreased wheat production. Wheat is the main ingredient in pasta, but the global crisis in grain production has seriously affected its availability. Drought in Canada, Europe, and the United States has led to a 30% reduction in wheat harvest. Military conflicts in key agricultural regions have restricted grain exports, reducing global stocks. Many countries are imposing export restrictions to protect their domestic markets, further reducing the volume of wheat on the global market. As a result, the reduction in the amount of available raw materials automatically leads to higher prices for flour and pasta. Rising energy prices. Pasta production is an energy-intensive process that requires high costs for electricity, gas, and transportation. In 2024, gas and electricity prices increased by 40%, which significantly affected the operation of factories. Logistics costs have also increased due to rising fuel prices, making it more difficult to transport products. Manufacturers are forced to either raise prices or cut production to avoid losses. Demand exceeds supply. Amid the food crisis, people have started buying pasta for future use, which further reduces its availability in stores. In some countries, pasta prices have already risen by 50% compared to the previous year. Manufacturers are changing the recipe, using a lower grade of wheat or adding other grains. What can you do to avoid being left without pasta? Stock up on pasta in advance. It has a long shelf life. Consider alternatives. Cereals, rice, buckwheat, bulgur, can replace pasta in dishes. Gluten-free options, corn, rice pasta, are not rising in price as fast yet. Keep an eye out for discounts and promotions to buy pasta at old prices. Use local products. Many small producers still offer pasta at a reasonable price. Conclusion. Pasta could become a scarce and expensive product in 2025 due to the wheat crisis, high energy prices, and rising demand. To avoid unpleasant surprises, it is worth stocking up on pasta in advance or finding alternatives. The global economy continues to change, and preparation is the best solution. The main reasons for a possible shortage. Extreme droughts in the United States and Turkey. The United States and Turkey are the world's major producers of nuts and dried fruits. These countries supply most almonds, pistachios, walnuts, raisins, figs, and dried apricots. But in 2024, abnormal weather conditions led to serious crop losses. The drought in California, which is a leader in almond production, destroyed up to 40% of the crop. Pistachio plantations in Turkey suffered from water shortages, which reduced production by 35%. The decline in grape yields has affected the production of raisins and figs, which are Turkey's key export products. As a result, stocks of nuts and dried fruits are decreasing and prices are beginning to rise rapidly. Rising transportation costs and logistical problems. Nuts and dried fruits are a commodity that is imported over long distances as they are grown mainly in warm countries. Rising fuel costs have increased transportation costs. A shortage of containers and supply disruptions made imports less stable. Due to higher duties and export restrictions, some countries are reducing their exports. As a result, some types of nuts and dried fruits may become less available, and their prices may increase by 50 to 70% in the coming months. Increased demand for healthy food, in addition to production problems, consumption of nuts and dried fruits is growing, further exacerbating the shortage. The popularity of healthy eating has increased the demand for these products in Europe and the United States. Vegan and dietary diets include nuts as the main source of protein and healthy fats. The demand for almond milk and other alternative products has also led to a reduction in almond stocks. What will happen next? Prices for nuts and dried fruits have already increased by 30 to 50%, and this trend will continue. Some countries are imposing export restrictions to secure their domestic markets. A shortage of certain types of nuts, such as pistachios and almonds, may become a reality as early as 2025. What can you do to avoid being left without nuts and dried fruits? Buy them in advance. Nuts and dried fruits have a long shelf life, so it's worth buying several packages at current prices. Look for local producers. In many regions, you can find domestic alternatives, such as walnuts or dried apples and plums. Substitute foods that are in short supply. Pistachios can be replaced with pumpkin seeds. Raisins, with prunes or dried cranberries. Almonds, for cashews or sunflower seeds. Keep an eye out for discounts and seasonal sales to buy products at a bargain price. Product #9. Tea. Why might it become scarce in 2025? Tea is not just a drink, but an integral part of culture and traditions in many countries. It is widely consumed around the world, especially in Europe, Asia, and North America. However, in 2025, the tea market may face a serious shortage, which will lead to a sharp rise in prices and a decrease in the availability of this product. The main reason is serious problems in tea production in key exporting countries such as India and Sri Lanka. The impact of climate change, economic difficulties, and labor shortages have created conditions under which tea stocks are beginning to decline. Why is the situation on the tea market becoming critical? Declining yields due to climate change. India and Sri Lanka are the main countries that produce and export tea, including popular varieties of black, green, and Ceylon tea. In 2024, the yield of tea plantations fell by 30%, which significantly reduced the stocks for export. Abnormal heat and droughts damaged tea bushes, significantly reducing their productivity. Due to the lack of water, the quality of the harvested tea has also deteriorated, affecting the final product. Sri Lanka's economic crisis and export challenges. Sri Lanka is one of the largest tea suppliers in the world, but due to the severe economic crisis, the country is facing serious problems in production and logistics. The country's energy crisis has led to a reduction in tea factory operations, which has slowed down tea processing and packaging. Rising transportation costs have made exports more expensive, forcing producers to raise prices. Currency volatility has made it difficult to purchase fertilizers and maintenance products for tea plantations, further reducing production. Shortage of labor on tea plantations. Growing and harvesting tea is a very labor-intensive process that requires a large number of workers. Due to the economic crisis and migration, many workers have left the agricultural sector in search of better working conditions. The shortage of labor has reduced tea harvesting by 20 to 25%, which has further contributed to the decline in supply. Some tea plantations in India and Sri Lanka have been forced to cut production or even close due to a lack of staff. What will happen next? Due to all these problems, the global tea market is undergoing significant changes. Tea prices have already risen by 40%, and it is predicted that by mid-2025, they could rise by another 20 to 30%. Export restrictions in some countries may make tea less accessible to the international market. Some producers are changing their formulations, using lower quality tea leaves or additional additives to save on raw materials. Product #10, cornflakes and breakfast cereals. Why might they become scarce? Cornflakes and other breakfast cereals have become an integral part of the modern diet. They are convenient, quick to prepare, and popular among children and adults. However, in 2025, these products may become more expensive or disappear from store shelves, as their production is closely linked to corn cultivation, and this industry is currently experiencing a serious crisis. The United States and Mexico are the world's major corn producers, supplying not only the breakfast cereal market, but also many other food products containing corn ingredients. Due to global climate change, reduced harvests, and rising production costs, these products may become less affordable for consumers. Why is the situation with cornflakes critical? Reduced corn production. Corn is the basis for many products, including cereals, bread, snacks, confectionery, starch, oil, and livestock feed. Due to droughts in the U.S. and Mexico, the corn harvest in 2024 was reduced by 30%, which significantly reduced stocks for processing. Abnormal weather conditions, damaged crops, and climate change made corn production less predictable. The reduction in the amount of acreage in the U.S. due to the high cost of production has further limited the supply of corn. As a result, all products containing corn ingredients will become more expensive, and some of them may disappear from the market altogether. High production and logistics costs. In addition to the reduced harvest, the production of breakfast cereals has become more expensive due to the following factors. Rising electricity prices have affected the operation of cereal mills. Increased transportation costs have made the delivery of raw materials more difficult and expensive. A shortage of packaging makes it difficult to produce the required volumes of products. All of this leads to producers being forced to raise prices or reduce the amount of products on the market. Growing demand for corn in other areas. Corn is used not only for the production of flakes. It is a key ingredient in livestock feed and biofuel production. Due to the energy crisis, more and more corn is being used for bioethanol production, which reduces its availability for the food industry. The meat industry needs more feed, so most of the harvest is going to livestock farms. Due to competition between different industries, prices for corn products are growing even faster. What will happen next? Experts predict that the situation on the corn market in 2025 will not improve in the near future. Corn flake prices have already increased by 40%, and this growth will continue. In some countries, producers are starting to change their formulations by adding cheaper ingredients or reducing packaging. Some brands may temporarily suspend production of certain types of breakfast cereals due to a shortage of raw materials. How to act? There is still time to prepare, but you need to act now. Stock up on staple foods that are long-lasting. Look for alternatives before prices skyrocket. Keep an eye on the market. Changes are happening fast.